Good evening and welcome to Conversations on the African Town Hall online television. The central objective of Conversations is to bring men and women of philosophy, values, and high moral standards who have made some successes or are on the hustle they are passionate about to inspire young Africans to aspire to achieve success and greatness in all the different areas of life. Our standard for measuring success is based on strong philosophy of life, value, moral strength, and not necessarily on in financial or political or business positions, though those are useful for the world standards. At the African Town Hall online television, therefore, we believe that we need strong philosophy of life, values, and moral strength to have real success in life. We therefore want our guests to share their philosophy of life and values and how these principles and standards supported their lives growing up and arriving at the success level they have in their life today. We believe in the saying, readers are leaders. A reader today is a leader tomorrow. And in the saying of Napoleon Bonaparte, quote, show me a family that reads, and I will show you a family that controls the world. We are troubled and embarrassed by the narrative that if you want to hide anything from an African, you should put it inside a book because Africans don't read. We therefore want our guests to highlight and extol the virtue of reading books, share some books they have read, and how much books impacted their lives, and emphasize how reading books can help the rising generations to become successful in life. We believe in dreams and aspirations for greatness, and the bigger the dreams and the aspirations, the better. Therefore, we expect our guests to share their dreams growing up and how such dreams help them propel them to the success they have today. We believe that one needs to overcome obstacles to be able to become who and whatever they dream to be in this life. Therefore, we want our guests to share obstacles they have overcome to reach where they are today. We believe that whatever we want to do in the world today has been done by someone before. So we want our guests to highlight, for benefit of our viewers, especially the rising generations of Africa, guidelines they have used to attain the success they have in their life so that the rising generations can copy them. We are pleased today to have in the studios one of the best examples of all that we have described, Clara Chinwe Okoro, as our guest today on Conversations. Clara, welcome to our studios.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you very much.
It's my delight to be with you this evening. Yes,
Oh,
very, very exciting to be here this evening.
Okay, thank you very much. It's a pleasure for us in the African Town Hall online television to have you come to this program to share with us all the word of experience of your life, which we know has been awesome. Okay, Clara is a multiple award-winning brand and media giant recognized Africa-wide. She is a Pan-African with a heart for the youth development and empowerment. She has effectively turned her vocation as a brand icon into an avocation as she uses the same vehicle to empower the African youth. She's the founder and chief operating officer of Brand World Media and a media and entertainment company which solely uses branding as templates for its operations. She is very committed to developing the core principles of branding within the rich context of everyday life in Africa. She set up the first ever brand focused TV show in Nigeria known as Brand World TV, a program she says was designed to preach the gospel of branding to Africa in recognizing that brands are the new wealth for creators and in any modern economy. Viewers, we invite you to join us today in this great episode of Conversations on African Town Hall Online Television with Clara, Chinwe, Okoro by asking questions and making comments in the program. Your participation will help your friends and family and contacts to see the program and join and enjoy the benefits we are providing. We are reaching you live on YouTube and Facebook. And when you visit our YouTube channel, please remember to subscribe to our channel to expand all we are doing. Okay, Chinwe, you as a person and your different business operations, Brandwall TV, Eyes, My Beautiful Africa, are household names in the media world today. Can you spare some time to share with us what inspired you to reject opportunities in the oil industry to pursue your dream in branding?
All right. Thank you so much once again, Francis, for the opportunity to share my views and interact with my audience this night, in a very, what I call it, symbiotic manner. I think it's really, really an honor to be here to expatiate on what my life so far has been. Well, in terms of focus, because that's where I think delineation is for me, was the reason why I left, an offer to work with a company where I did my youth service, which was then known as the Gulf Oil Nigeria, and later transited to become what we know today as Chevron Oil, to pursue my dreams to become a media innovator. I think it had to do with the fact that early in life, I was able to understand the creative proclivity I had as a person. I had started writing poetry while I was still in secondary school, and movies and documentaries were actually, things that gripped my spirit. Reading, I spent almost 3/4 of the years I spent in the university in the library because I wanted to give free rein to my imagination. And the strong creative pull could not let me take on a 5 to 9 job sitting in an office and taking one file or the other. I knew there was something stronger pulling and calling me. And that was why I decided early enough not to take the offer. To get a job like that, I knew there was something stronger pulling and calling me. And that was why I decided early enough not to take the offer.
Wow. Think about following your dreams, and this is what makes it for everyone. If we can follow our dreams, certainly we have a chance to land at the coast we desire. Thank you very much for that. Um, I understand that there are strong values and philosophy behind your business. Each one of them is created to achieve both social and economic impact. Can you talk about your different brands and the philosophy behind setting them up?
Okay, so I would start with the first initial one, which is Brand World Media. When I was younger, my father was able to detect the creative traits in me, and he often used to encourage me. He bought books for me. While programs he knew would interest me were on television, he would send my siblings to call me to come and watch them. And so it was natural that when I left the university, my first port of call was an advertising agency where I worked in the creative department, materials. And it was there I began to hone my ability to be able to write scripts. And I told myself, as difficult as it was then, thinking of breaking out at such a stage of my life. I had just finished the university and was doing my youth service. I felt I would give 2, 3 years to gain the kind of knowledge I wanted to start my company with by working in some of the companies where I would gain those knowledge fast enough, like production companies, which was what I did because the drive was there that what was inside of me could become a game changer, which eventually became actually. I set up the first advertising program on television with some of my colleagues, and it was truly a game changer because then a lot of people did not know how impactful advertising and branding were in the society. It had become science in the Western world. In America, you had to subliminally market to people for them to be able to buy. And so it was a science on its own. And in Africa, it wasn't something we were taking very seriously. And then my TV program came on years. People can now testify to what branding has done to the Nigerian economy. That was the first one. From there, we transited to Eyes Magazine. Eyes Magazine to us was the fact that youths were the energy of any marketer's dream. If you sold to the youth, their market segment was so vibrant and energetic that you were very sure of the success of your product if you marketed them. And so I set up Eyes Magazine as a youth targeted brand publication that would track what youths were actually interested in different markets. And this would help marketers and agencies begin to understand the data behind that. Then came My Beautiful Africa. My Beautiful Africa was a culmination of an experience I had in 2014 on a trip to Gambia. And I took a walk around one evening after my conference, and it began to dawn on me that a lot of people didn't actually understand that Africa was, we were sitting on gold mines in Africa. It had some of the best landscapes in the world. It had some of the best vibrant energy if people stepped back to understand and tap into it. And there and then, I decided that night, it was, I think, 24th of April in 2014, that I was going to set up a company that would drive the beauty of Africa to the different countries in the world who always saw the other side of the narrative, which wasn't actually true because to me, some of the Western narratives were definitely subliminally developed to keep Africa at a distance and keep tapping into our resources, to live their own lives. It's a capitalist world and it's understandable. But I thought also if a few of us rose up and told our own narratives, maybe things will begin to change. And this, in a nutshell, was how I developed these ideas into companies that I'm running today.
Oh, this is awesome, and one of the things we want to do at the African Town Hall Online Television is to change that narrative. We know that this is the genesis of everything in the world that is good. We have the highest number of mineral resources. Our mental capacities are superb. Africans, you try with others everywhere, will give you the best all the time. and yet we're on the ground. I mean, that is a very good one for Africa, so close to what we are doing here. Thank you very
Great.
much. Okay, so let's talk about your current hustles. How far
Okay.
have you gone with with them, and how far do you want to go with those the new hustles, the things you are working on right now, and what do you want to ultimately achieve with them?
Okay, so my companies are all running simultaneously, except for Eyes Magazine, which we stepped down on because the cost of production became so extremely high. And we put it on the cooler and we're re strategizing to make it become an online magazine. But My Beautiful Africa and Brand World Media are two companies that are fully operational. For My Beautiful Africa, it's a three-pronged approach we're using because we realize that the future is already here with us. And in Africa, where you still have a lot of challenges, I think that's where the opportunities truly are for a lot of people. So our driving force with My Beautiful Africa is technology. And how would technology, reflect on some of our dreams, visions, and aspirations for Africa? We thought to ourselves that a simple thing like what we're doing now, utilizing StreamYard to have this meeting where thousands, millions of people globally can tune into it and watch you is a game changer. And it's as simple as that. Years back, you would have needed an OB van hooked up to a television, transmitting with a large TV room, and you and myself as both the interviewer and the producer, being recorded in such, would we say, gigantic ways. But today, technology is changing all that with little devices, with apps, with softwares. The world is changing. And that's what I'm currently doing with my current hustle to tap into the mindset that technology can solve three-quarters of our problems without us spending huge, tremendous amounts of money looking for big but with simple solutions from technology, it would, increase efficiency in your systems in a business and also increase profitability for you. So in that regard, we're partnering with some Indian companies and we're building a business-to-business platform called iSmart Africa. And what will that do? We're going to onboard about 5,000 companies on iSmart Africa from the technology sector globally and then from the hospitality sector in Africa. And how it will work is, for instance, if a hotel in Kenya wants to automate its systems or wants to develop the broadband to make internet faster for their customers, right there on iSmart Africa platform, they would put out a bid for the job, and a technology company that has specific solutions to that problem would bid for that job. And if they get to work on that job, we take a 1% commission for the total net value of that business. And so in this way, we're helping two companies who might not have met each other before easily meet each other on our platform and do business together, solve problems, increase profitability, increase efficiency. So that's basically what my current hustle is developing. Brand World is still subsisting. When clients call us, we go cover their events, edit, and transmit on television, and we get paid for it. And everybody is happy with their own sides of the game.
Oh, awesome, awesome. And as you talked about the power of technology in all of this, yesterday I was holding an online meeting with a group of young people that I work with for 3 years, 2016 to 2019, when my wife and I served as mission presidents in our church. And we reconnected back, and I asked them to cancel all of us on what we should be doing now. And one of us said, we need to get close to technology because that is where the next life is coming. Anybody who lives without technology now is going to be outside life, and you just simply connected with that. We just spoke about it only yesterday. So thank you very much. That is awesome. Well, viewers,
You're welcome.
yeah, you are still watching Conversations on the African Town Hall Online Television with Clara Chinwe Okoro, the Chief Operating Officer of Brand World TV and the creator of My Beautiful Africa. We invite you to participate in the program by liking the show and making comments. And in fact, sharing this live event that is on YouTube and Facebook to your contacts so that this great information that is passing through Clara to us, to the whole world today, can then be spread. We will be glad to have you join us in doing that. Okay. Now, in the African Town Hall Online Television, we believe that for one to begin his or her life properly, have a meaningful life, and to have real and enduring success, he or she needs a strong foundation based on the right philosophy of life and values. So, what are your central philosophy of life and values, the one that have guided you thus far in your life?
Well, it's truly a very, would I call it, enigmatic journey. And just like every young person, I had my ups and downs growing up. My mother actually thought I was a very, very difficult and stubborn person. My father was a bit of a laid back person who understood the creative temperament in me. I went through school being partly a rebel, because things that I didn't quite agree with, I felt strongly about them and I could always argue them. I took classes in philosophy and I knew we had some very heated arguments with our lecturers, but these were very robust arguments. We learned from our lecturers, they also learned from us, and in the end, it enriched my views about life. But what has really been the greatest impacts in my life were the times I spent reading. It enlarged my views about the different aspects of the world we live in. And in this way, it kind of made me a lot more broad minded in terms of realizing that my own views aren't always the correct or the right views, because we come from a world that what might be in my culture as acceptable might in another person's culture be not acceptable. And so reading opened up my mind to so many different dimensions about what life is. But I think the saving grace for me was eventually when I reconnected with my faith as a Catholic. And in that direction, it was the fact that I grew into realizing that um, the inner source of my strength was the quiet faith, not the noise around me. It's the fact that I could actually sit down and meditate on the words I have read in the Bible, and it was as if it was directly speaking to me. And when I went to Mass, that's what we call it in the Catholic Church, and the priest talks through the homily, those words were, very, very powerful for me. And they began to shape my philosophy about life. And what that taught me was the fact that words are very powerful. They can harm, they can heal, they can influence. And so it taught me not to be careless in the way I use words, and always to be mindful of how words can destroy a person's spirit or build up a person's spirit. And these are the philosophies that have carried me all along. So my meditation daily on the words of God as a Catholic has been one of the strongest, would I call it, pillars of my life. And it's, guided guided me so far first well.
Oh, this is great. And, there's this popular saying among people that life without Christ is crisis. So, the foundation of our religion, I believe that that helps each and every one of us to be stable and know what it is we're actually doing. This is gorgeous. Thank you very much. It
You're
is
welcome.
highly appreciated. Okay. So, now, what is your take on the saying that readers are leaders, and a reader today is a leader tomorrow? And what was quoted, credited to the great Napoleon Bonaparte, who said that, "Show me a family that reads, and I will show you a family that controls the world." What's your take on that?
Yeah, of course, definitely. I had actually that on the last question you asked me. I spent about 3 quarters of my years at the University of Lagos, virtually in the library. I read across boards. I touched on religion, philosophy, science, um, mathematics, everything caught my interest. And I kept reading to understand, delving into the mind of the writer, where they were writing, at the point they were writing. I began to forge in my imagination that we actually had a very, very interesting and broad world. And that helped me to understand how the workings of governments work, how the control of societies were developed, how the rich were able to use mind games to be able to control economies, and different, facets of life began to make sense to me because of the knowledge I was able to gather and, you know, um, understand and dissect. So, yes, leaders actually are readers because embedded in those books are knowledge that, if you unlock and apply, would give you the results that leaders that are leading us today are utilizing to be able to control the society that we run. So definitely, it's becoming a little bit more challenging now because of the internet. I don't quite read as much as I used to because, I mean, every at the tip of my fingers on the internet, I'm getting data that is so fast that I can access. So sitting down now, it has to do back with your discipline to be able to say, okay, I'm going to put the internet aside for 2, 3 days. I want to finish this book, imbibe it, meditate on it, understand the knowledge in it, and see where I can apply it to my daily life and my business, and actually see the results I'll get with it. So yes, actually, it's a correct philosophy because it's a mind opening mechanism to be able to do so many things that those who don't have access to that knowledge would not be able to do.
Oh, that is great. And one of the things that comes clear with your position on this is the fact that, if we really want to get it, then we need to open our minds first, and books help us
Exactly.
to open our minds. And the internet, even though it's taking away from the former traditional way of reading books, um, uh, we cannot what some of the data information that we browse through on the internet also increase or give us a chance to open our minds. Even though I highly recommend taking a book, like you mentioned, from time to time and actually reading it, so you can get into the mind of the writer.
The
That is
writer.
great. Yes, thank you. That is great. Okay. Um, we will be viewers. We will be learning more about what our guests think about the negative narrative that if you want to hide anything from an African, you put it in pages of a book. When we return, let's take a brief break. When we come back, she will be discussing with us about that narrative that if you want to hide anything from an African, you put it in the pages of a book.
Okay.
Welcome back. So, yeah, how concerned and embarrassed are you about the negative narrative that if you want to hide anything from an African, you put it in the pages of a book because Africans don't read?
But that's quite an irony because I learned that the first university in the entire world was situated in Africa. So, what often used to, would I say, confuse me was where the disconnect happened. If we were early readers, if we were world game changers, if we set the pace for the world, if the first university was situated in Morocco, in the northern part of Africa, it meant somewhere along the line something must have, changed. And it's not really quite something we should argue about because it's quite prevalent if we're looking at the index globally about how poverty affects education. So, globally, if you're looking at that statistics, Africa really is down there on the ladder in terms of education, education really, not knowledge. Because what then happened was, I'm just talking about our own generation. In my father's time, they went to missionary schools, and these missionaries were people who came from other parts of the world to come into Nigeria and set up missionary schools and hospitals and so, and then took natives such as my father and educated them. And my father, in turn, became a teacher. So yes, I think it was survival at the point that I can't quite say that became the focus for Africans, and so knowledge shifted to maybe other parts of the world, and that in turn became what they used to leapfrog to what their societies then eventually emerged as. And I would say it's that challenge that is still facing Africa. A lot of the struggles still has to do with the poverty index that is still gripping all across Africa. You can't tell a hungry person to sit down in school and listen to you. They're not really going to be in the frame of mind to absorb the knowledge you're teaching them. So yes, the dynamics are still in favor of those that have stripped Africa of most of its resources. But gradually, the education is, something that is becoming quite affordable now. So a lot of Africans are getting educated, and it's now at a stage I would say it's an option for you if you want to be educated or you don't want to be. The options are now there, even with the emergence of the internet. You have online coachings that you could actually take on by yourself. The only disadvantage being that data might be expensive for some Africans to have access to that. So I don't think that narrative holds true anymore now because, knowledge is everywhere now and it just depends on who wants to access it.
Okay, that is great, and I like what you said. It is our personal decisions to access knowledge. Now, having an understanding that this is very important if we want to be part players in the world today. And like, I listened to Marlens Bat Williams. I think she's from out of Sierra Leone, married in South Africa. She said that even the second university in the world was also in Africa, which is the one in Sierra Leone, Furabe College, which is among the oldest these things. So, like you said, um, I think that narrative is part of a game plan to put Africans down. Maybe Africans need to kind of take advantage of what is available now and recover, their place in the scheme of things.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So,
I think,
go ahead.
no, I said I think so too.
Oh, okay, that is great. That's great. Now, what were your dreams growing up? I want you to get to the point where most of the rising generations of Africa are. Rising generations biologically are people between the ages of 12 and 30. So, I want you to get back to that time and share with us what were your dreams and at those times, and how these dreams influenced or propelled you to what you have achieved today and what you are today. The important here is to see if there's a way to connect what you have gone through, what you have taught and felt, and become with our young people, so that they can know that they can also do what they can do to become.
I think it has to do with tenacity. Across board on various interviews I've done over the years, I always picked out that trait about myself. Never say never. I am always online searching for opportunities. I've had disappointments. I mean, I can't even count how many times. Failures. I have failed severally, woefully, but I'm always tenacious because I always figure that if one door is closing, another is opening somewhere. If I can't make money through here, I can make money through here. So it's a mindset issue for me. It's your mind that is going to determine whether you can succeed or whether you can fail. And I feel every morning, if we get up from our beds, if we get up from our mats, it's a brand new day to explore what that day has to do. As long as there is breath in you never know where the turn will come. So I feel it's a mind issue that a lot of young people should engage at every point in time, that there is nothing standing between them and success except themselves. Even your mind, you figure, and that's, by the way, if you've decided what success means to you, it might be different variables that would eventually become what we measure success by. It might not be what you measure as success that I would use as, a way to also measure my own success. So first, it's very, very important that you become clear about what you want your success to be. Getting tons of certificates might not measure success for some people, as it doesn't for me. It's the impact I would have on people's lives that would measure success for me, and that's because I have put that as my own category of success. So in essence, it's defining what you want your future to look like, how you wake up every day pursuing that future, and what legacy you want to leave behind. So intrinsically, at the bottom of all this is your mindset and how you utilize that every day to pursue your vision and your dreams.
Oh, awesome. And I hope that young people who are viewing this program or who may view it later will be able to connect to this. Never say die. Never accept that there's failure. Even if you had a failure, that is the time to get up and actually win. Talking about the impact
Exactly.
of our lives, how are your current businesses and activities? How are they impacting the youth of Africa? Maybe I think Africa, because you are an Africanist. So how are your businesses and activities are impacting the young people?
Um, the most important thing I think I realized when I set out to do business is that you don't know who is watching you. So your life might become the only activation for somebody else's faith somewhere. If she can do it, I can also pursue my dream and do it. So that has absolutely taught me to be very mindful of how I interact with young people, because the impression you give them is what could actually activate whatever it is inside of them that is burning for them to find their own purpose in life. So I would say it's made me mindful of how I affect them, because I realize I'm not always going to be here. So if I am going to be able to plant something as a seed in their consciousness that you can do this, if you have this in you, it means you are on the path to greatness. If you have this kind of trait, you can develop it to be able to solve this kind of problem. And so I interact with them, they send me messages, I answer back and give them some suggestions and that. And you'll be surprised, just some little word you can drop into somebody's heart or consciousness will change their life. could change the trajectory of their lives. And these are the things I really actually take quite seriously. So it's also impacted on how I live my life in terms of knowing that you might be the mirror somebody else is looking at. So in that way, yes, I'm very, very, concerned about how the youths of Africa turn out in the end, because your generation, my generation, my parents' generation, your parents' generation, everybody had the opportunity to impact on the generation next to them. So what you would ask yourself is, what are you doing to leave a legacy when we're no longer here?
This is very important, and this is the reason we are doing this. The background philosophy of the African Town Hall Online Television and the company that runs the Town Hall Communication Company Limited is to give voice to the rising generations, and everything we are doing, we need to see how those impacts their lives, and we are grateful that you are an icon in that sense, where people can look and you're able to come and give your voice here where they can also hear you. I assure you they are going to hear you, and in due course you will see that the young people of Africa heard you, because one or two lives will be changed because of what you said here today. Okay, well, viewers, you are still viewing the
Good, great.
yeah, you are still viewing conversations on the African Town Hall online television with Clara Chinwe Okoro on the seat. Thank you very much. Now, let's go a little bit offbeat, but not really offbeat, because this is the onus. You mentioned it today. It is politics and power that controls what is going on in the world. In politics and the acquisition of political power in
Uh-huh.
Nigeria, in particular, and then in Africa generally, it's a do or die affair as we see it today. Do you have a position on the insane approach and the attitude to the acquisition of and use of power in Nigeria specifically and Africa generally these days? Do you have any position on it?
Well, that's a very soft point with me.
Okay.
Politicians have failed Africa, and I am not going to be shy in saying that. I think leadership is all about. It's the fact that we have not truly understood the concept of leadership, that we're having this what I call it manners of sabotage, because they're sabotaging so many people's future. They're sabotaging so much that could have come out of Africa. It all boils down to leadership, because most times the buck stops on their tables. The crisis of leadership in Africa has led so many destinies to wastelands. That's my observation. What really is this aspect of realizing that you are mortal, you're limited in certain ways as a human being. So at the point in time you're given a position to hold in lieu of the fees or wages that will be paid to you, to be able to affect others' lives with the decisions you'll be taking on their behalf. When you misuse that and abuse it, the consequences are very, very treacherous, because so many destinies become wasted, so many lives derail, so many projects that would definitely have benefited such communities and societies are left ground. So it becomes a chain reaction that is extremely pitiful in the end. And I would say that's the number one unfortunate situation in Africa, that leadership, from Cape to Cairo, leadership has failed Africa. Until, if there is one thing, because we're very good at aping what the Western world does, if we can look at the best templates of their leadership and begin to adopt that, then I think Africa will take, it will become like a miracle, an overnight miracle. The continent will definitely change. But I think it's that greed factor. And personally, I keep tracing it back to the trauma of poverty. They figure, oh, I might not be able to get enough. That's a psychological problem. If you steal and steal and steal, and In the end, it's just your corpse that is going to be dumped into the ground. But the damage of what you've done to your society is unsurmountable in the end. Then all the stealing you had done in the end comes to nothing. It's still this mind game issues we're talking about until the mind is developed to understand that we just have, varying degrees of time on earth. The impact we can have if we're given positions of power to have influence over all the nets of leadership and its impact on societies. Politicians have failed Africa, and it's not too late. We can begin to change that narrative.
Thank you. Anytime the issue of leadership in Africa comes, it touches a sore point for me because, like you mentioned, it is a catastrophe. It is a big problem, and it is the change we seek lies in what leadership will do. And I'm personally worried about our young people too. Now, the people are the playing the game right now are there. I don't know. What kind of mindset do you think young people in Africa should begin to have now to enable them become different when they get there? Because whether we like it or not, biological consequences will mean that those who are leaders today, even if they want to lead till they die, they will die, of course. And Robert Mugabe died. People like what's his name in Paul Biya in Cameroon is nearing 100 and he's still hanging in there. Whether he likes it or not, he will die. All of us will die. But then, how does the young people of Africa begin the process that when this transition happens, it's not going to go back to this kind of people again? Any ideas?
I think it's called the fear phenomenon. They are afraid that they might never be able to see another opportunity to steal as much. But that's materialism in philosophy. Materialism is finite. You're going to still leave those things behind, but the consequences of your action in that position of leadership would have generational impact. So I think for the younger people, they should begin to understand the models adopted by countries like Sweden, like Estonia, like the Dutch, where their societies normally come up first in the index globally. It's a service. You're coming to leave a legacy for your family name. Yes, you're going to have your wealth, you're going to have enough, but free your mind to let others also grow, because as they're growing, the impact of your leadership will become stories for books in the future and models for others to be able to tap into. Those are much more than the wealth you will steal from your people. And in the end, it might be these young people who will make the change that will become the historians, those that the historians will write about in the future. Aim to make a difference in your society, aim to solve problems, not aiming to create problems through a position you were handed to in order to better people's lives, but you twisted it around to make life hell for them.
I think you made a great point there that is worth noting. The point will be for the young people to earn to make a difference. Recently, a young man asked me whether I think a good Christian man can survive as a Christian and also as a politician. And I told him that um, anything that will make young people get into politics, I want to promote it.
Right.
But when you go there, you have to aim to make a difference. And I'm grateful that that is the point of a mind like yours, which we revere and appreciate very highly. That they need to aim to make a difference. The young people of Africa, I know many of you are here viewing, aim to make a difference. That is the point that our great resource person and guest, Clara Okoro, is helping us to appreciate today. Okay, you touched on this, but let me rephrase it a little bit for purpose of history. Recently, I received this inspiration to organize African Youth Conference, and the theme of that conference was the African Leadership Question, Problems, and Prospects. So many of these problems, like you mentioned, were enumerated during that conference. And one young man, one of them who spoke, he said One of the young people that spoke, his name Kelechi Ochulo from Nigeria here, he said that the problem of with African leaders has to do more with poverty of ideas and morals. And I think you quite agree with that with your comment than with
Mhm.
leading itself. So can you touch on this the meaning of poverty of ideas and morals so that the young people who might have the onus of leadership tomorrow will guard against that kind of challenge?
Poverty of ideas and morals, it's the consequence of the power of the media, because it's popular doesn't make it right. And I think those are part of the philosophies that have guided my life. I'm a very individualistic person. It has to align with my principles, with my faith, with my beliefs, because I can't follow the crowd. When I was coming into the world, I didn't come with the crowd.
Yeah.
So, in essence, I think it's the sifting of my thoughts that would either make me stand out from the crowd and make an impact, or if I want the look of what the crowd is doing, I get sucked in by what they're doing and my life derails and I become irrelevant. So I must fight to guard my heart, my strength, my thoughts, and in purifying that, I bring out solutions that might be of benefit to the society. So essentially, it's very, very critical that young people watch what they watch on TV, what they watch on the internet, what they absorb, what they think. It's very, very critical. Your thinking process should reflect from deep thinking because you have read so much and you've been able to do analytical thinking, and locally you come out your own perspectives and help society solve problems. The challenges that people are doing online, you don't have to be part of it, and nobody would actually flog you for not being a part of it. And I think that's part of how they can guard their future and eventually transit to become the full and best versions of themselves.
That is awesome. I think we all need to know the fact that, like what you said, we didn't come into this world in a crowd. Following crowd is not the best way for someone to project their best self. We need to develop our minds and then decide about contribution instead of exploitation. Okay,
Mhm.
thank you. Now,
All right.
if yeah, if there are magic bullets for curing leadership failure in Africa, what, in your opinion, would those be?
It's just one. We need to build leadership schools across Africa. In America, you're groomed from childhood for the Senate, for the House of Republicans to become president. So they are taught leadership principles, they are taught the tenets of leadership. So it's just one solution. If we can build leadership schools across Africa and begin to teach young people from a young age the principles of leadership, it would, drastically reduce the symptoms of what we see for failed leaderships across Africa.
Okay, that is awesome. Though this is not a paid commercial, but I have to make this comment because if we cannot highlight the examples that are already there for us, that will be a problem. I lived in Calabar, Cross River State, many years back when there were just only two roads in the whole of the city of Calabar that is motorable. Only two. The road that brings you into Calabar and the road that leads to the university. Now, Donald Duke became governor there in 1999, and I left Calabar in 2002. Then in 2005, I was invited to speak at an occasion in Calabar, and I went back there and could hardly know where I was again because some of the small trees that Donald Duke planted across the road and were tying them with rope in those days when I was there have become big trees, and the whole of the roads are shaded. Most of the roads are tarred. Water system inside villages, and then Tinapa was built, and the marvel was unbelievable. I went there with my family, and my children said, when we came from Aba that day, we drove from Aba to that place. So when they finished, they said, "Is Aba the dustbin of Calabar?" Very young children. They say, "Is Aba the dustbin of Calabar?" And Calabar was so beautiful. I wrote an article following that, asking, why can't we build a leadership school where Donald Duke is the front person, the man teaching what he did, how he could do so much with with Calabar that do not have much of anything, but he made it so beautiful. So, like you said, leadership school. I just brought this story now because you mentioned that we need leadership schools, and I agree with you completely. And I'm thinking, if I have the power and resources today, I will build one that has Donald Duke's name on it because of what he did in Calabar to my presence. Okay, well, viewers, you are still on to the conversations on the African Town Hall online television today with um, Clara Chinwe Okoro, the Chief Operating Officer of Brand World TV, and the creator of My Beautiful Africa, a seasoned media giant and someone who has impacted the young life by the work that she does. Okay. Thank you very much. Now, I would like to ask this question as we wrap up this great meeting today, which we can stay for 3 hours here because it's getting better. But you know, what will be your final thoughts? Something you would like the young people of Africa to stay with them, even if it means emphasizing something you have already said, or any new thoughts. The important thing is that we are looking for what African rising generation can hold on to and change the narrative that we have in this continent. And of course, get a better country, Nigeria, which is the leader of Africa.
My final thoughts, if I'm to share it, is the personal belief that you are an individual. You don't you don't let society dictate to you what their belief patterns are. What might depending on an individual might be the solution Africa is looking for to solve part of its problem. So you have to develop a very strong philosophy about what your views in life will be. That will help you, in standing strong. It's not going to be an easy thing. It's a battle for your mind. You decide you don't want to be corrupt. So you fight, every we call it every temptation that comes to fall in line with what every other person is doing. It could just be that that stand you took might be waiting for you in front someday to be the key that would unlock your great future. You never can tell. So if you have a philosophy, stand strongly by it. It might be your saving grace in the future to open up your life to the kind of, great that you never really thought about. Those are my thoughts on how young people can actually make a difference.
Thank you very much. This is awesome. Well, viewers, please join me to express gratitude to Clara Chiwe Okro, Chief Operating Officer of Brand World and creator of My Beautiful Africa, projects that she's using to not just change the world, but impact on the youth and rising generations of Africa. Um, Thank you, Clara, for making time to be here with us to share your thoughts freely. I look forward to hosting you again, both on this and the other programs we run on our television, because what we want is to touch African lives. Thank you very much for being here today with us.
It's been my pleasure. Thank you, everyone that had joined us. And I believe together we will be the one to awaken the giant known as Africa. Africa is waiting for all.
Thank you and have a pleasant week ahead. And please know that we are very grateful for what you have done here today. We
My
rever this
pleasure.
kind of thoughts you have shared. Yes. All right.
My
Thank you. Have a
pleasure.
good night. Mhm.
And you too. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Bye bye. Well, viewers, Isn't that awesome? We look forward to your comments and to your questions and to your likes for this program. This is awesome. We are going to be bringing you more of this as the day go by. Thank you and have a blessed week and a good night.